As I stood at the edge of our bedroom, the weight of the world pressed down on my shoulders. The suitcase lay open on the bed, half packed with her favorite dresses, the ones I had always loved to see her wear. It was supposed to be a celebration of our love, a trip to rekindle the spark that had dimmed over the years. But now it felt like a cruel joke. I had discovered her secret. She was planning to meet him, the man who had stolen her heart while I was left in the shadows. Our relationship had always been a tapestry woven with laughter, shared dreams, and a love that felt unbreakable. We had been together for nearly a decade, and I thought I knew her inside and out. Our wedding day had been a beautiful affair filled with friends, family, and promises that felt eternal. We had built a life together, filled with memories that danced in my mind like the flicker of candlelight. But now, as I stared at that suitcase, I felt hollow. The vibrant colors of our past seemed to fade into shades of gray. I could feel the anger bubbling inside me, but more than that, it was the betrayal that cut the deepest. How could she do this to us, to me? I had always trusted her, believed in our vows. The discovery had come like a thief in the night. I had stumbled upon a text message on her phone, a simple "can't wait to see you" that shattered my world. The sender's name was a name I didn't recognize, a name that now haunted my thoughts. I had confronted her, my heart racing as I demanded to know the truth. She had tried to play it off, laughing nervously, claiming it was just a friend. But the way her eyes darted away, the tremble in her voice, told me everything I needed to know. My heart sank as I realized that this trip was not just a getaway. It was a betrayal wrapped in the guise of love. As I paced the room, my mind raced with thoughts of how to confront her. I needed to take control of this situation, to show her that I wouldn't be a passive victim in this twisted game. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins. I had to act, and I had to act fast, so I made a decision. I would cancel her trip. I would ensure she traveled alone, not to him, but to the reality of what she had done. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, to understand the pain she had inflicted on me. It was time to turn the tables and take back the power she had stolen from me. With each passing moment, my resolve solidified. I would not let her escape the consequences of her betrayal. I would stand tall, even as my heart shattered into a million pieces. This was my life, and I would reclaim it no matter the cost. As I reached for my phone, I felt a surge of determination. I would call the hotel, cancel the reservations, and make sure she understood that there would be no romantic getaway, not for her, not for him. She would face the truth, and I would be there to ensure she did. The thought of her reaction sent a shiver down my spine, but I steeled myself. I was ready to confront the storm that lay ahead. The moment I discovered her infidelity, time seemed to stop. I was frozen in disbelief, staring at the glowing screen of her phone. The words "can't wait to see you" etched into my mind like a haunting melody. My heart raced, a wild drumbeat in my chest, echoing the chaos swirling inside me. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss of betrayal. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but all I could manage was a numb silence, my breath caught in my throat. I dropped the phone onto the bed as if it had burned my fingers. The room felt suffocating, the walls closing in around me. I needed to think, to process this overwhelming surge of emotions. I paced the room, my thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and anger. How could she do this to me, to us? I thought we were happy. I thought we were in love. Images of our life together flashed before my eyes, our wedding day, the laughter we shared, the quiet moments that had felt so perfect. They all crumbled like a house of cards, leaving me standing in the ruins. I couldn't wrap my head around the reality that the woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, was planning to meet another man. I felt a mixture of anger and profound sadness, a cocktail of emotions that left me reeling. I remembered the last few weeks, the subtle changes in her behavior. She had been distant, her laughter less frequent, her smiles more forced. I had chalked it up to stress at work, to the pressures of life. But now it all made sense. The late nights, the sudden need for space, the secretive phone conversations. My heart twisted at the realization that I had been blind to the signs. I had trusted her implicitly, and in return she had shattered my trust into a million pieces. As the initial shock began to wear off, the anger bubbled to the surface. I could feel it coursing through my veins like fire, igniting a sense of purpose within me. I needed to confront her, to demand answers. I couldn't let her continue this charade. I would not be a passive victim in this twisted game of deceit. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation that lay ahead. The thought of facing her filled me with dread, but I knew I had to do it. I had to find out the truth, to hear her side of the story. I wanted to see the look in her eyes when I confronted her with what I knew. Would she deny it? Would she confess? I felt a surge of adrenaline as I prepared myself for the emotional storm that was about to unfold. I found her in the living room, her back turned to me as she absent-mindedly scrolled through her phone. The sight of her made my heart ache. This was the woman I loved, the woman I had trusted with my entire being. But now she felt like a stranger. I cleared my throat, the sound breaking the silence like a gunshot. "Can we talk?" I managed to say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. She turned around, surprise flickering across her face. "Sure, what's up?" Her casual tone felt like a slap in the face. I took a step closer, my heart pounding. "I found a message on your phone," I said, my voice low but firm. "Who is him?" Her expression shifted, the color draining from her face. For a moment I thought I saw fear in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a defensive posture that sent my heart racing. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice rising slightly. "Don't play games with me, Sarah. I saw the message. I know about your plans to see him." The words felt heavy as they left my lips, each syllable punctuated by the weight of betrayal. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Instead, her eyes darted away, searching for an escape from the confrontation. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, the realization that her secret was out. "Please, just tell me the truth," I pressed, desperation creeping into my voice. "Are you seeing someone else?" The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could see her struggling, her emotions flaring like a candle caught in a gust of wind. Finally, she sighed, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of the world had settled on them. "It's not what you think," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But I wasn't in the mood for her excuses. My heart raced as I demanded, "Then what is it? What is it if not a betrayal?" Her eyes met mine, and for the first time I saw a flicker of vulnerability. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought it was just a fling. I thought I could end it before it got serious." The confession hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt a mix of anger and sadness wash over me. How could she think that was okay? How could she justify her actions? As I stood there, the reality of the situation settled in. I was heartbroken, betrayed, and furious. But more than anything, I was determined. I would not let her walk away unscathed. The confrontation unfolded like a scene from a tragic play, each line delivered with raw emotion. I stood there, my heart racing, grappling with the reality that the woman I had loved and trusted had betrayed me in the most profound way. As she confessed, I felt a storm brewing inside me, a whirlwind of anger, sadness, and disbelief. I needed to keep my composure. I needed clarity in this chaos. "Just a fling," I echoed, my voice edged with incredulity. "You thought you could just have a little fun on the side and it wouldn't matter. You thought I wouldn't find out." Her gaze dropped to the floor and I could see the guilt etched on her face. "I never meant for it to go this far," she said, her voice trembling. "It was just a mistake. I was feeling lost and I didn't know how to handle it. I thought I could control it." "Control it?" I shouted, the anger spilling over. "You think you can control who you fall for? You think you can just turn it off like a light switch? You've shattered everything we've built." Tears welled in her eyes and I could see the pain reflected back at me. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, I do." The words felt hollow, like echoes in an empty room. "Love," I spat. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have planned a trip to see him while I thought we were celebrating our anniversary." My voice cracked, the weight of my emotions crashing down on me. I could see the realization dawn in her eyes, the understanding that she had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. "I know," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I messed up. I was stupid and I let my feelings get the best of me, but I swear it's over. I'll end it right now if you want me to." I took a step back, shaking my head in disbelief. "You think it's that easy? You think I can just forget this? That we can just go back to how things were?" The silence that followed was deafening, filled with the weight of unspoken words and shattered trust. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, teetering on the brink of a decision that would change everything. "I need time to think," I finally said, my voice steadier than I felt. "But you're not going on that trip. Not to him, not now, not ever." Her eyes widened in shock, and for a moment I thought she might protest. But then she simply nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're right. I don't deserve to go anywhere after what I've done." The gravity of my decision settled over me like a heavy cloak. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow. I was taking back control, but at what cost? The thought of her traveling alone, confronting the reality of her actions, filled me with a sense of purpose. She needed to understand the consequences of her betrayal, and I needed to reclaim my dignity. "I'll call the hotel and cancel the reservations," I said, my voice firm. "You need to face this. You need to face what you've done." She opened her mouth to protest, but the words never came. Instead, she turned away, her shoulders shaking as she fought back tears. The sight of her pain twisted in my gut, but I knew I had to be strong. If I didn't take this stand now, I would forever be a victim in our relationship, and that was something I could no longer accept. As I moved to grab my phone, I felt a sense of resolve wash over me. This was my moment to reclaim my narrative, to show her that I wouldn't allow her to dictate the terms of our marriage. I would not be the one left in the shadows while she pursued her desires. I dialed the hotel, my heart pounding as I waited for someone to pick up. The voice on the other end was cheerful, oblivious to the turmoil brewing in my chest. "Thank you for calling. How can I assist you today?" "I need to cancel a reservation," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "It's under the name Sarah Bennett." "Certainly, let me pull that up for you." I could hear the keys clicking as they searched for our booking. "Ah yes, here it is. A lovely suite for two, correct?" "Cancel it," I said, my voice firm. "I want it canceled immediately." "Of course, sir. I'm sorry to hear you won't be joining us." "Yeah, well, it's for the best," I replied, my mind racing. I was making a statement, drawing a line in the sand. I wouldn't let her escape the consequences of her actions. After a few moments, the operator confirmed the cancellation, and I hung up, a mix of relief and dread flooding through me. I turned to find Sarah still standing in the same spot. Her eyes red from crying, her expression a mixture of remorse and fear. "I did it," I said, my voice quiet but resolute. "You're not going anywhere." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of our shattered trust and the uncertain future that lay ahead. I could see the anguish in her eyes, but I felt a strange sense of peace. I had taken a stand, and now it was time for her to confront the reality of her betrayal. "Now what?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Now we figure out what this means for us," I said, my heart heavy with the knowledge that our journey together had taken an irrevocable turn. After the confrontation, the atmosphere in our home felt charged, thick with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. The walls, once a sanctuary filled with laughter and love, now echoed with the weight of betrayal. I had canceled her trip, a decision that felt both empowering and devastating. I was reclaiming a part of myself, but at the same time I was acutely aware of the chasm that had opened between us. As I sat at the kitchen table, staring into the cold, empty cup of coffee, I felt a mix of determination and dread. I needed to think clearly about what came next. I had made my choice to cancel her trip, but that was only the beginning. I had to confront the reality of our relationship, the trust that had been shattered, and the love that now felt so fragile. Sarah moved around the kitchen, her movements slow and deliberate, as if she were afraid to break the silence that hung heavily in the air. I could see the tears still glistening in her eyes, and for a moment my heart ached for her, but I quickly reminded myself of the pain she had caused. I couldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. "What are you thinking?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. "I'm trying to figure out how we got here," I said, my voice steady but filled with a mix of sadness and anger. "How could you let it get this far? Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" "I didn't want to hurt you," she replied, her voice cracking. "It just happened. I felt so lost, and I thought I could manage it. I thought it was just a phase." "Just a phase," I repeated, incredulous. "You thought it was okay to have an affair because you were feeling lost. That's not how love works, Sarah. You don't get to play with someone's heart like it's a game." Her shoulders slumped and she looked down at the floor, shame washing over her face. I know I messed up. I wish I could take it back. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I said, my voice firm. You need to understand the gravity of what you've done. You can't just apologize and expect everything to go back to normal. Trust is earned and you've shattered that trust. The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the emotions playing out on her face, guilt, regret, and a flicker of fear. I didn't want to be cruel, but I also knew that this was a moment of reckoning for both of us. I need to think about what I want, I continued, my tone softening slightly. This isn't just about you. Anymore, it's about me too. I can't just pretend everything is okay because you say you're sorry. I understand, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I'll end it with him, I promise. I nodded, but deep down I knew that it was going to take more than just a promise to rebuild what had been broken. I needed to see action and I needed time to process my feelings. Time, I said thoughtfully. We both need time to figure out what this means for us. I don't want to rush into any decisions. We need to have honest conversations about what we want moving forward. Okay, she replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I'll give you space. I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I'm serious about fixing this. I appreciated her willingness to give me space, but I also felt a pang of sadness. This wasn't how I had envisioned our life together. Our anniversary trip was supposed to be a celebration of our love, not a confrontation of our deepest fears. As the days passed, I found myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I was angry, hurt, and confused, but I also felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to rebuild our relationship, but it would require work, hard work from both of us. I started to create a plan, a way to navigate the storm that had engulfed our marriage. I knew that communication was key, and we needed to have open, honest discussions about our feelings, our fears, and our desires. I wanted to understand what had led her to make such a devastating choice, and I needed her to understand the depth of my pain. I also knew that I had to take care of myself during this time. I needed to reconnect with my own feelings, to understand what I truly wanted moving forward. I didn't want to make any decisions out of anger or hurt. I wanted to approach this situation with clarity and purpose. One evening, as we sat across from each other at the kitchen table, I broached the subject of counseling. I think we should consider couples therapy, I said, my voice steady. We need a neutral third party to help us navigate this. It's important for us to communicate effectively and understand each other's perspectives. She looked thoughtful for a moment before nodding slowly. I agree. I think it could help us both. I don't want to lose you, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. The sincerity in her voice gave me a glimmer of hope. Maybe we could work through this together. Maybe we could find a way to heal the wounds that had been inflicted. As we began to explore the idea of counseling, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a long journey. We had a lot of work ahead of us, but I was willing to try. I wanted to believe that love could endure even the deepest betrayals. But as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder, would we ever truly be able to rebuild what had been lost? Or would this betrayal haunt us forever? The days turned into weeks, and the weight of Sarah's betrayal lingered like a ghost in our home. We were in a strange limbo, navigating through the aftermath of her infidelity while attempting to rebuild the trust that had been shattered. I could feel the tension in the air, thick and palpable, as we both grappled with our emotions and the uncertainty of our future together. We had agreed to seek couples therapy, and I thought it was a step in the right direction. But as the first session approached, I was a bundle of nerves. Would we be able to communicate effectively? Would the therapist understand the complexities of our situation? Most importantly, would Sarah be honest about her feelings, and would I be able to voice my pain without it turning into an argument? The day of our first session arrived, and I could feel the tension in my chest as we drove to the therapist's office. Sarah sat beside me in silence, her hands fidgeting in her lap. I glanced at her, and for a brief moment I saw the flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. It reminded me of the woman I had fallen in love with, but the memory was quickly overshadowed by the hurt she had caused. When we arrived, we were greeted by a warm, compassionate therapist who introduced herself as Dr. Lawson. Her soothing demeanor put me somewhat at ease, but I could still feel the storm of emotions brewing beneath the surface. "Let's start by talking about why you're here," Dr. Lawson said, her voice calm and inviting. "What brings you both to couples therapy?" I took a deep breath, my heart pounding as I began to speak. "My wife and I are here because she's been unfaithful. I found out she was planning to meet another man while we were supposed to be celebrating our anniversary. I'm struggling to trust her again, and I don't know how to move forward." Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she looked at me, her expression a mixture of regret and sorrow. "I never meant to hurt him," she said, her voice trembling. "I made a terrible mistake and I'm so sorry. I love him and I want to fix this." Dr. Lawson nodded, her gaze shifting between us as she absorbed our words. "Thank you both for sharing that. It's clear that there's a lot of pain and confusion on both sides. Betrayal can create deep wounds in a relationship. It's important to acknowledge those feelings and work towards healing." As the session progressed, we delved into the complexities of our relationship. I expressed the depth of my pain, the feelings of betrayal that had consumed me since I discovered her infidelity. I could see the weight of my words hitting Sarah, and for the first time I felt like I was being heard. "I trusted you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I believed in our vows and you shattered that trust. It's not just about the affair, it's about what it represents. Makes me question everything we had." Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I know. I can't take back what I did, but I want to show you that I'm committed to making it right. I want to understand why I did it and how we can move forward together." Dr. Lawson guided us through the conversation, encouraging us to express our feelings without judgment. It was a relief to finally lay everything out on the table, to confront the raw emotions that had been festering beneath the surface. I felt a strange sense of catharsis, as if speaking my truth was a step towards healing. But as the session came to a close, I felt a familiar knot of uncertainty tighten in my stomach. Could we truly rebuild what had been lost? Would Sarah's commitment to change be enough to mend the fractures in our relationship? After the session, we drove home in silence. I could sense the weight of the conversation lingering in the air, heavy with unspoken thoughts. It was a strange mix of hope and trepidation. I wanted to believe that we were on a path to healing, but doubt crept in like a shadow. Once home, I retreated to the living room, needing space to process everything. I sank into the couch, my mind racing with thoughts of the session. Sarah joined me after a few moments, her expression uncertain. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice soft. "I don't know," I admitted, feeling vulnerable. "I'm just trying to wrap my head around everything we talked about. It's a lot to digest." "I know," she said, her eyes searching mine. "But I really want to work on this. I want to show you that I can change. I don't want to lose you." Her sincerity tugged at my heart, but I still felt a wall between us. "It's going to take time, Sarah. I need to see that you're committed to making things right. Words aren't enough anymore." "I understand," she replied, her voice steady. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'll be open and honest with you. I'll prove to you that I can earn your trust back." The promise hung in the air, a fragile thread connecting us. I wanted to believe her, but the scars of betrayal were still fresh, and I knew that healing would be a long process. As the days turned into weeks, we continued with our therapy sessions, each one peeling back layers of our relationship and exposing the raw wounds beneath. I learned to express my feelings more openly, while Sarah worked on understanding her motivations and the reasons behind her actions. There were moments of progress, moments when I felt a flicker of hope that we could rebuild our relationship. But there were also moments of doubt, when the weight of the betrayal threatened to pull us back into the darkness. One evening, as we sat together on the couch, I brought up the idea of moving forward. "What do you envision for us?" I asked, my voice tentative. "Do you think we can truly rebuild what we had?" Sarah looked thoughtful for a moment, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I want us to be stronger than we were before. I want to rebuild our trust and create a deeper connection. I know it won't be easy, but I believe we can do it if we work together." Her words gave me a glimmer of hope, but I knew that it would take more than just desire. It would require patience, understanding, and a commitment from both of us to navigate the path ahead. Let's take it one day at a time, I suggested, my heart still heavy but hopeful. We'll face the challenges together and we'll find a way to heal. Together, she echoed, a small smile breaking through her tears. As I looked into her eyes, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of connection. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. But as I lay in bed that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges. Trust would take time to rebuild, and I had to remain vigilant. The journey of healing had only just begun. As the weeks turned into months, the journey of healing unfolded before us like a long, winding road. Each day brought new challenges, but with it came an opportunity for growth. The therapy sessions became a cornerstone of our rebuilding effort, a safe space where we could confront our feelings and work through the complexities of our relationship. I began to see glimmers of the woman I had fallen in love with. Sarah was showing up for our sessions, genuinely engaging in the process, and taking responsibility for her actions. She was committed to understanding the hurt she had caused, and her willingness to confront her mistakes was a testament to her desire to mend our relationship. There were still moments of doubt, moments when the shadows of betrayal crept back in, but I was learning to navigate those feelings. One evening, after a particularly intense session, we sat on the back porch, the setting sun casting a warm glow over everything. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the storm that had raged within our home not long ago. I could feel the tension easing, but the weight of our past still lingered. "Do you think we'll ever get back to where we were?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sarah turned to me, her expression thoughtful. "I hope so, but I think we have to redefine what back to where we were means. We can't pretend like nothing happened. We need to build something new, something stronger." Her words resonated with me. The truth was, we couldn't return to the past. The betrayal had irrevocably changed us, but perhaps we could create a future rooted in honesty and understanding. I wanted to believe that, even if it felt daunting. "I want to work on this," I said, my heart pounding. "I want to trust you again, but it's going to take time. I need you to be patient with me." "I will," she replied, her voice steady. "I'll give you all the time you need. I want to show you that I can be the partner you deserve." As the days turned into weeks, I began to notice subtle changes in our dynamic. We were communicating more openly, sharing our fears and desires without the fear of judgment. We made an effort to reconnect, to rediscover the little things that had once brought us joy. We started going on walks together, exploring nearby parks and enjoying the fresh air. We cooked meals side by side, laughing as we fumbled through recipes. We even revisited old traditions like movie nights and game evenings, slowly rebuilding the foundation of our relationship. But there were still moments of struggle. There were nights when I would wake up in a cold sweat, haunted by nightmares of her betrayal. I would lie there, my heart racing, grappling with the memories of pain. On those nights, Sarah would hold me close, whispering words of reassurance, reminding me that she was committed to this journey with me. Counseling continued to play a pivotal role in our healing process. Dr. Lawson guided us through the intricacies of rebuilding trust, emphasizing the importance of transparency and vulnerability. We learned to express our needs and set boundaries, creating a safe space where both of us could feel heard and valued. One day, during a particularly emotional session, I found myself sharing a fear that had been gnawing at me. "What if I can't ever fully trust you again?" I asked, my voice trembling. "What if I'm always looking over my shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she listened. "I understand why you feel that way. I can't change the past, but I can promise you that I'm committed to earning your trust back every single day. I want to be the partner you deserve, and I'll do whatever it takes to show you that." Her sincerity struck a chord within me. I realized that trust is not a destination but a journey, one that requires patience and consistent effort. It wouldn't happen overnight, but as long as we were committed to the process, there was hope. As we continued our therapy, I found myself reflecting on the lessons I had learned throughout this ordeal. I had gained a deeper understanding of my own needs and boundaries. I learned that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength, and that true intimacy is built on honesty and trust. It was a hard-fought journey, and I knew we still had a long way to go. But I also knew that I was no longer the same person I had been before. I had faced the darkest moments of my life, and I had emerged stronger, more resilient. One evening, as we sat on the couch together, I turned to Sarah, feeling a warmth in my heart that I hadn't felt in a long time. "I think we're starting to find our way back to each other," I said, a smile breaking through my uncertainty. "I feel it too," she replied, her eyes sparkling with hope. "I know it's going to take time, but I believe in us. I believe we can create something beautiful out of this." In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me. Maybe we could rebuild our relationship not as it once was, but as something new and profound. Trust would take time, but with each passing day, we were taking steps toward healing. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I was willing to walk it with Sarah by my side. Together we could face whatever challenges lay ahead, and together we could forge a path built on honesty, love, and a deeper understanding of one another. In the end, this experience had taught me invaluable lessons about trust, love, and self-worth. I had learned that even in the darkest moments, there is always a glimmer of hope. And as I closed my eyes that night, I felt ready to embrace the future, no matter what it held. The journey of healing was far from over, but I was no longer afraid. I was ready to face it head-on, hand in hand with the woman I had chosen to love, even in the wake of betrayal. And with that, I realized, love, when nurtured and fought for, can emerge stronger than before. This was only the beginning.